Welcome back to Man Down Sports, man. We got three topics we want to get over, man. Golden State Warriors, James Harden, Dallas Mavericks, man. I think I need to touch on both of those things, all three of those things. I'm not gonna hold y'all up too long. This will be quick, but I think it is important to talk about these topics. Before I even get started, man, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're watching from YouTube, and if you're not watching from YouTube, you're watching from Facebook or Twitter or X or anything like that. Head over to the YouTube channel, Man Down Sports. Give us a subscription there. If you're not already sub, hit that notification bell and that thumbs up. Definitely hit that thumbs up on your way in when you watch the video. Everybody hit that thumbs up and leave a comment if this topic interests you, or any of these topics for this episode interests you, because we've been getting a lot of engagement in the comment section, and it's been good. There's been a lot of basketball knowledge tossed back and forth. And and I like talking about basketball, and I like talking about NFL and football as well. So, but definitely the basketball topics, I like the banter. So, without further ado, the first topic I want to get into is the Golden State Warriors, and they started out pretty. I mean, of course, their first game was the Phoenix Suns, and they lost that game, but they didn't have Draymond for that game, and they had an excuse to. And say we wasn't whole, because that's what they like to say. We're almost unbeatable when we're whole and healthy. When we had the core three, they make it about Draymond, Steph, and Klay as much as possible. So that's what they like to say. Anytime you beat them, if they're not 100% healthy, they're going to say, well, that's the only reason why y'all beat us, right? That's their favorite thing. The core three, when we're healthy, we're unstoppable, and we got the championship pedigree. Right, so they got an excuse why they lost that Phoenix Suns game, but then they started to get on a good roll. They won some games, some ball games in the world. Steph was looking amazing. He's scoring almost 30 every game. Hitting game winners. Klay hit a game winner. They pulled out a big win against Sacramento, which is becoming a rival, and they have a really good team. I got my own thoughts about that game as well, but that's not why we're here. Why we're here is because now they're not looking so good. Draymond's back, and they can't seem to get, they string 2 wins together in a row since he's been back. And I kind of want to talk about the delusion that they're under. And I've already talked about this before. As soon as the Draymond Green punch happened last season, before the season started, as soon as it happened, I've done several videos saying the Golden State Warriors have a decision to make. It seems like a tough decision, but it's really not. You have to make this decision, or you're going to be spinning your wheels until Steph is done and ready to retire. They have to separate and cut the umbilical cord and let Klay Thompson and Draymond Green go. They had already had their replacements in the building. Now you're stunting their growth, right? You're stunting their growth. And this is the same situation I think Boston was in when they had Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving there, who was supposed to be their number 1 and their number 2, right? And then you realize that, oh man, Jason Tatum is the guy, and Jaylen Brown can be his co-star, right? So as soon as you realize that they was able to perform at that level, and then Kyrie and Gordon Hayward both come back from injury the next season, it immediately caused some friction. And the way Jason Tatum described this on JJ Reddit's podcast is the friction was between Brown, Rozier, Smart, Gordon Hayward, and Tatum, because they all felt like they had a right, and they felt like they was the right pick to be Kyrie's co-star and Kyrie's number 2. He said there was no beef with Kyrie, and there was no competition to be the number 1. They said Kyrie had that hands down, right? But they wanted to be his number 2, which Gordon Hayward was paid to be his number 2, and Gordon Hayward was picked to be his number 2 because he was the only all-star and the only vet in the situation, and he was playing for his college coach, Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens was his coach at Butler. Now in Boston, he's already got a relationship with him. The only issue is Gordon Hayward was coming back off of major injury, major surgery. He was rehabbing, and he probably shouldn't have been thrown into the start lineup to be relied upon because he couldn't really guard anybody. He didn't really trust his leg too much. He had a lot mentally to get over, and also physically. But he's getting paid like the number 2. So that caused friction. But Boston decided real quick, either we go move forward with the youth or not, which you should always move forward with the youth, right? Especially someone with the talent like a Jason Tatum. So they got rid of Gordon Hayward quick, really quick. They got rid of Rozier really quick. They wanted to keep Kyrie. It could have been Kyrie and Tatum, but they didn't work that out pretty well. So Kyrie ended up leaving and going to Brooklyn. You know, the rest is history, right? Well, there's so many situations that you can point to where you move on from who you brought to the dance. Sometimes you don't go home with the same girl you brought to the dance. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you don't. But sometimes it's good to move on. Just like Shaq and Kobe, the Lakers had to make a decision. Something that's the friction between them two is causing us not to be able to perform at our best possibility, and it's messing with our future. So you don't make the decision to keep the most physically dominant player in the league in Shaquille O'Neal when he's aging, and he's also showing signs that he's not taking it that serious. He's coming into training camp out of shape. He's not meshing well with Kobe, who was our future star. This guy we got at 17, 18, and he's already performing in the one championship with this guy, and he's not even 25 yet. Like, of course you pick Kobe Bryant, and you just figured out, all right, well, we'll let Shaq go. We'll figure out who we're going to pair with Kobe Bryant because he's that great, right? That's what you do. So many examples of it. With Golden State, Bob Myers was trying to follow their blueprint, right? And he was looking at, all right, man, we had Draymond, Klay, and Steph. That was our core 3. And we was successful building pieces around them, which is really easy when you're youthful and in your prime. But once you get past your prime, you don't want to keep trying to find pieces to build around your core 3, because obviously when Steph, Klay, and Draymond was in their prime and they was younger, and you put vets around them because what their strength was their youth and their skill set and how good they was. That was what their best attribute was on their team. But what they lacked was probably the veteran leadership, the veteran presence, and all that stuff. And that's what they brought in people like David West in for, people like Maurice Spites, people like Iguodala, people like Barbosa. You bring those guys in to put around this youthful core, right? But now they're still trying. They're the process to where Draymond Green and Klay are not the youth. They're not the youthful guys anymore. I take Steph out of the equation because the way he's holding up, he's still holding on to some of his youth. Klay and Draymond is not youthful anymore, so their strength is not in how long they can withstand an 82-game season or playoffs. And they're not in their prime, so they're not going to be performing at peak level every game for 82 games plus playoffs. You're going to get it in spurts, right? So they actually are the David West and the Maurice Spates and the Landry Barbosas and the Sean Livingstons of the team now. But since they were there for the beginning to get Golden State Warriors 3 championships or 4 championships, now they're masquerading as the guys with the seniority and the veteran leadership and the veteran presence and the young guys that's supposed to get paid. And you can't do both. Every vet that's on the team, if your strength is to be the veteran presence in the locker room and all that stuff, like Iguodala or Mo Spates or David West, you're not the guy that's going to be on the floor all the time and relied upon and getting paid all the money. But their agents are saying, we're the one who bought you 4 championships, give us all the money, and then put young guys around us, which we're going to pour rank on and say, well, we're the old guys. You young guys can't even get in the game. Y'all got to wait till we done. That's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how it worked with David West. David West didn't tell Draymond and Klay they can't get on the court. Iguodala didn't tell Draymond and Klay they can't get on the court. They took a step back and said, look, man, I've made my money, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and help y'all out with what I know about the game and what I know about the NBA, and I'm going to help y'all win championships, and I'm going to play my role. That's what Klay and Dre supposed to be doing. And if they was doing that and not asking for all the money in the world and asking for another huge contract, it would have worked out where they could have kept their young core. They could have kept Wiseman. They could have kept Poole. They did keep Kuminga, but these are the guys they brought in that was supposed to be the new young core around Steph, and Draymond and Klay was supposed to fall back and play their role like Iguodala did, but they're not doing that, so they messed it up. And Bob Myers knew they messed it up, and that's why I think Bob Myers eventually resigned, because he knew that what they needed to do to keep winning is, for one, they cannot afford to play Draymond and Klay all of that money. I don't think that he wanted to get rid of both of them, but he definitely had to tell them, we can't pay you what you're asking for. We can give you something, half of that maybe, but we can't give you what you're asking for, but we still want you on the team. But if you don't want to be on the team for this price, then we got to move. We already got your replacements here. We'll just move on with it. And Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, they kept talking about the core three after the season was over. Core three. Steve Kerr said, we're not a championship team without Draymond. So they really talked themselves and talked the owner Joe Lacob into giving them one more shot at trying to win a ring, and giving them another huge contract, which Draymond did get this summer after they got rid of Jordan Poole, and Klay Thompson will be asking for a similar contract, which they really can't afford, especially the way Draymond and Klay is playing, which I'm going to get to. Right. So all that being said, Draymond Green, they just lost to Minnesota last night. Edwards was balling on them. Edwards looked unstoppable. Klay Thompson looked horrible. Draymond Green looked horrible. Then the game before that, they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Draymond Green got ejected for having 2 techs, which is what I don't understand about Draymond Green is, and the Warriors I don't understand either, is that whenever the Warriors' back is to the wall and they're getting dominated or outplayed by a team, Draymond don't go into his inner self and say, let me step up my game and provide more points, more rebounds, more defense. He goes in to his inner self and say, let me provide non-basketball things, right? Let me get in a fight, or let me get a tech, or let me argue with a ref, or let me agitate the home crowd, or let me sucker punch somebody, or elbow somebody, or push somebody. Let me do that, because he thinks that that's like a jolt of energy into his team, where he can play that victim, like, oh, you giving me a tech, and he argue with the referee, and he thinks that victim role that he's playing and the Warriors is playing actually galvanizes them together. And Steph and Klay just all of a sudden just start playing. He thinks that's what he provide. That's why everybody keeps saying he's the emotional leader. He's the locker room leader. Cool, you can be that. But I've never seen a locker room leader or emotional leader demand playing time on the court. If you're if you want to be your Udonis Haslem, get your vet minimum, sit down on the bench, and be that locker room influence. But you're not providing too much for us on the court. He's averaging, I want to say, 5 rebounds this year. And I looked at the stat sheet when they lost to Minnesota. They get out rebounded really bad. There's only one person that was even close to double-digit rebound, and that was Kevon Looney. He might have had 9. Luka Doncic is getting 9 a game. And here it is, your biggest guy on the floor is getting you 9 rebounds. And then the next guy is only getting 5 with Draymond, who is your power forward. And what are you on the floor for? You're not there to score. You're only getting 5 rebounds. You ain't stopping a nosebleed. And you're making almost $25 million on your new contract. That's unreal. That's unheard of, right? And then here's this stat out here that Steph Curry don't even have a number 2 scoring option that he can rely on. It's not Klay. It's not Draymond. It's supposed to be Wiggins. But once again, Klay and Draymond is the vets and the core 3 on this team. Nobody wants to go ahead and steal their shots from them. Klay got to get his 15 to 20 shots up, even if he's only getting you 14 points a game. So now Wiggins got to figure out where he go get his points from, because they're not calling no plays for him. They want Wiggins to play power forward and guard players bigger than him and then rebound and do all that stuff. And I mean, he rarely gets a jump shot. He rarely gets a play call for him. He rarely gets the ball in the post. They just want him to run around like a hockey player without a stick and score. Imagine it. Imagine putting a hockey player and you putting all your hockey players on the floor, and you only give Steph and Klay a stick. And then you complain when Wiggins don't have the points you want him to have, but he ain't got no hockey stick. How are you supposed to shoot? That's what happens when you put a player on the basketball court and don't call a play for him and don't use none of his skill set or his attributes to the best of your ability to get him baskets. Like, he's a great mid-range shooter. He's great at getting to the rim. He's a great post up in the mid post with a great turnaround fadeaway. He's got ability. Andrew Wiggins can do things, but the more he does, the more Klay feels alienated. And this is a year that Klay needs not to feel alienated, because he's trying to earn his big contract this year, just like Draymond got his this summer. Klay's in his contract year, and he's trying to prove that I'm still that dude. So two things he want to do: he want to stay healthy the whole season, and he want to get back to being an old Klay. So that means he just taking shot after shot after shot, just like he's a 28, 29-year-old Klay Thompson. He's not. Golden State Warriors should have moved on from Klay and Draymond. This team should be rocking and rolling right now with Steph and Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Kuminga, and Wiseman. That's what should be going on right now with the Golden State Warriors. Let me play when Draymond was asked about no player scoring more than 20 points other than Steph Curry this season.
And that's just what it boils down to.
I mean, you guys still don't have a guy that scored more than 20 besides Steph. I mean, is it some of that you just need a guy or two to get going?
Yeah, we got to step up. When you're playing well, players get the credit and you get paid, right? It's the league we're in. You play well, you get credit, you get paid, you get all-star appearances, you get all defensive teams, all NBA teams, this thing, that thing. When you playing bad, players got to fucking take the blame as well. You know, we can come up here and point a bunch of fingers. We can say, oh, man, coach could have did this better, or, the referees could have been better. You can come up and point a lot of fingers. At the end of the day, you play basketball, it's your job to figure it out and be better. And so that falls on all of us, and you got to take on that challenge of being better and giving to the team what you need to give to the team.
I agree 100%. You got this player averaging 30 points, and Klay Thompson, who is his number 2 scoring option. He's supposed to be the number 2 scoring option. He's not only the number 2 scoring option in the way they design their offense. He's the number 2 on this team as far as salary as well. You get what I'm saying? So he's making $43 million this year. Now, it's his last year on this contract, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be seeking similar amount. Now, if his agent is realistic, I know Draymond was represented by Clutch Sports, and they tend to be the most delusional people out there. I mean, so they probably went asking for way more than what Draymond should be asking for. Draymond probably should be making probably 10 to 12 million a year. He probably got double what he should have got. I don't know who the agency is for Klay Thompson, but let's say that they go be asking for something similar. They're not gonna be they're not giving no hometown discount. They really feel like this team can't win without those 3 guys, right? They really feel like that. So Klay Thompson might not be asking for a contract that's going to have him in the 43 million a year range, but I'm pretty sure. Right now Chris Paul is making 30. He'll be making 30 again next year, and Andrew Wiggins is making 24. He'll be making 26 next year. Draymond Green is making 22. He'll be making 24 next year. Steph is making 51. He'll be making 55 next year. He's worth all that money. But Klay Thompson is getting played like a number 2 option, and the offense is designed for him to be the number 2. He's going to be getting the second most shots behind Steph Curry on his team. But he can't even give you 20 points. But he's wanting 40 mil, close to 40 mil. I'm pretty sure he's going to ask for more than 30 a season if Draymond got 22, Wiggins got 24, and Chris Paul's getting 30, I'm quite sure Klay will be like, you paying CP3 30, I'm worth way more than that, and I've been here and I got you 4 rings. I'm quite sure he's going to ask for more than 30. He might not ask for more than 40, but he's going to ask for more than 30, right? And he's going to be the number 2 on this team. You're not going to be able to find a better number 2 because the money's locked up. You can't afford one in free agency. And the way that Draymond and Klay pulls rank on everybody that comes to the team that's new, it ain't like you go be able to get a rookie in there that all of a sudden just start playing lights out and then he develops into the number 2. They tried that with Jordan Poole. They got Jordan Poole in there. He played well enough to be the number 2, but Draymond and Klay pulled rank on him. You're overstepping your boundaries. You can't be that. That's Klay's role. So no matter they damn if they do, if they damn it, and they damn if they don't. No matter how good somebody plays, they cannot move up the depth chart above Klay Thompson in importance. Not even Wiggins can do it. So you either gotta stay in your lane, and if you do too much, they're gonna tell you not to do too much. That ain't what you that's not what you do, right? And you just kind of gotta mask your game a little bit. And I don't like it, but let me get to this though. 43 mil a year is a number 2. I want you to, if they would have got rid of Dre and Klay, they could have got a real number 2. Let me just take the 2 teams that was in the finals last year, the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. Klay's making 43 a year. The number 2 first of all, the number 1 for Miami is making 45. That's Jimmy Butler. So Klay is getting paid as much as a number 1 on a championship team. He's getting 43. Jimmy Butler's getting 45. But let's compare him to the number 2s on the championship team. Bam Adebayo is only getting 32, and he's 26 years old and does way more than Klay does right now on both ends of the floor. Bam Adebayo is only getting 32 mil a year. Nowhere close to what Klay is getting, but he's giving you way more than what Klay is giving you on the court. So Klay's getting 43, Bam Adebayo is getting 32, right? So Klay is really getting played like a number 1, if you really want to be real, because that's the same amount that Klay's getting the same amount. Klay's getting more than what Dame Lillard is getting. Dame is getting about 42 a year. Klay is getting more than Dame Lillard. And Dame Lillard was a number 1 for Portland when he got that contract. They're playing Klay like a number 1. Let's look at the Denver Nuggets. Klay's getting 43. Nikola Jokic is getting 47 a year. Once again, Klay is getting paid like a number 1, slightly under a number 1, right? But the number 2 for Denver Nuggets is Jamal Murray. He's getting 33, 10 million less than Klay. And he's only 26 and does way more than what Klay does on the floor. Right? So Jamal Murray and Bam Adebayo is cheaper than Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is as expensive as Jimmy Butler and Nikola Jokic. We can even go down Denver's roster. Michael Porter Jr. is making 33 a year at age 25. He's a 6'11" Klay Thompson. That's only 25 that does more than Klay. He's only getting 33, 10 million less than Klay. We can go down one more time. Aaron Gordon. He's getting 22 a year. He's doing more than what Draymond and Klay is doing put together. But the Warriors are locked up with those 2 big salaries, 24 for Dre, 43 for Klay, and Klay is asking for another huge contract. Now, if you go down that championship roster, the Denver Nuggets, and get down to a player that's actually doing about the same thing that Klay is doing on the floor, and that's Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But he's only 30 and he can still play defense. He's only making 14 mil a year. That's probably what Draymond and Klay should be making, between 10 and 14. They should be making Kentavious Caldwell-Pope money, not Nikola Jokic and Jimmy Butler money, or Aaron Gordon money, or Michael Porter Jr. money, or Jamal Murray money. And that's the issue with Golden State right now. They made a mistake. Bob Myers knew that was a mistake for them to offer the contract to Draymond and Klay. And Steve Kerr and the core three of Klay, Steph, and Draymond talked them into it and talked the owner into it and got them on board. Bob Myers said, "I'm not with this," so he resigned, and they hired Dunleavy and made sure Dunleavy was on board with what their plan was. And it's the wrong plan, and we're gonna find this out real quick. I mean, they got swept by the Lakers, for God's sakes, in the playoffs, man. They didn't even stand a chance. Didn't even stand a chance, man. You should have seen the writing on the wall then, right? And then Draymond is continuously throwing temper tantrums and these antics and all this, carrying on, and that's what you're paying for. That's what you're paying for, and for Klay not to be able to get you 20 points after 10 games, he can't even bust a 20. He can't even bust 20. Jordan Poole was averaging 20 last year on a bad year. Jordan Poole was having a bad year where everyone said he played like crap and he gave you 20. It's an average. Klay hasn't even scored 20 yet this season. Jordan Poole averaged 20 on a bad year. And his contract was cheaper. You don't choose Klay Thompson over there. You don't choose Draymond Green over there. You let them walk if you have to. But if you can get a piece for them or a draft pick for them, that's what you do. They would have been doing good. Now they're not worth nothing. You always got to get rid of a good player a year before they fall apart, or maybe even 2 years before they fall apart, where you can get value for them. Now you're not going to get nothing for Draymond, and you just gave him that contract. So it makes it even harder for you to move his contract, because no one's going to see value in him. Number one, on the floor, and number two, the contract is not going to be worth what he's going to give you on the floor. So in order for you to move Dre, you're probably going to have to add a draft pick to it to sweeten the deal for somebody to take Draymond. Just the dumbest decision they ever made would not move on from Draymond and Klay. But that's my thoughts on the Golden State Warriors, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section, man. Do you think they're turning around, or do you think they don't?